Hello there, Vic Benedict here. We're playing God of War 2 on Titan difficulty, and this is my no upgrade run plus, which means that we're not upgrading our health or magic or weapons. So this is installment the 4th, and we've got one of Jason's knights, or I guess knight is a poor word, but one of his warriors up there getting dragged away by a couple of Minotaur grunts. And we're going to be picking up I hope I'm saying that right. Urayli? I mean, does it fucking matter? But we're doing a little collision on these guys here. In fact, one of those beast lords got his ass butchered, as well as that one right there. 4 grabs will kill these guys. 4 ground grabs, I should say. And then you've got some beautiful physics at work here when you're doing aerial throws on these enemies here, which, as I mentioned a couple of seconds ago, are beast lords. These are the beast lords. So these are the guys that help out the Cyclops Berserkers, whom we'll fight in a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes. But just keep thrashing these guys, and then we're going to use that key that we just found to open a gate coming up. I think we've got some cursed remains to fight over here. So come on over here, save your progress, and then one of the ways that you can dispatch these guys is to approach the door, and we don't have the ability to parry right now or to deflect this Gorgon petrification stare, but if these guys come close enough, we can stone shatter them. Of course, we're subject to the same hazard, but still we can break out of it, and they don't really have much of a chance to get up here because they get stoned so quickly. The key move on these guys, though, is that breaks them like no other move, and that's one of the unfortunate things that you just witnessed right there. We had a couple of guys paired pretty close together, and the one that I needed to grab, I was closer to him than the other one, and it failed the grab, and I got pushed away, staggered a little bit, and I could have got damaged. But the move that I mentioned is actually a move that I think unlocks at level 2, so we'll never have it. That was beautiful. But it's mimicable, and I know there's no way in hell that's a word, but you can mimic it just like you can mimic the super plume move of triangle, triangle, triangle by doing square, 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 triangle, triangle, triangle. So too can you mimic the move which is triangle, triangle, square by doing square, 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 square. And that breaks these guys. It's the best move to do on them by far, but of course we'll have to do the alternate method of inputting because, you know, we only have our blades at level 1, and that will remain the same until we either fail or pass this trial that we're trying to do of clearing this game on no upgrade run plus conditions. So we've used the key. Gonna pick up a little health. And then we're going to roll right into the ruins of the Forgotten. A beast lord here is going to blare his trumpet, and that is going to bring us to this fight. So we've got a Cyclops Berserker here, and all you need to do is approach them and press circle to drag these guys off, and then press circle again to chain throw them, and then do collision onto the Cyclops Berserker there, the guy with the big club. And then that should deal significant damage to this guy, and he should also, he should be approaching the O button prompt, and these guys have a lot of HP, so it's nice that we got all the collision with the Beast Lord for ourselves. And this guy, like I said, he should be going down pretty quickly. I would be surprised if this took more than like 10 more seconds to take this bitch down. Okay, so there he goes. Maybe it took 15 seconds, maybe it took 20. It doesn't much matter. But here's a series of QTEs to do. How many is that? 4? Shut the fuck up, Sean. I'm trying to do my commentary. And you know what? Just play the opera. Like, that's all you have to do. Do you have to... Fucking shit.
Just the most phenomenal technique in the world.
What?
He was from Sweden, made his debut in 1952, had a successful opera career until the age of 77.
77?
Was singing
Shut the fuck up, Sean. Shit. You know what? This guy is paid to play operas, and all he does is talk. The DJ over there. Like, and the thing was, too, like, what was he saying earlier? Like, when he started doing the show. You guys know my history with Sean Bianco, a.k.a. Sean Dick, a.k.a. Sean Shitter. I don't know. He said something, and it was, I don't know. The social justice warrior within me wanted to say something about it, even though I'm not one. Those people are stupid idiots, but it was just, like, his usual, like, stupidity and hypocrisy. It's not even really being hypocritical. I don't know what his goddamn deal is. He's a fat fucking pig. But anyway, yeah. So that's the DJ at the opera program. It's Saturday night, and I'm trying to listen to my shit fest, but the guy just keeps talking. So anyway, so are we almost done with this fight? Should be. There we go. I'm trying to think what that anecdote was about Sean that just... It was something like to expose that guy. Who knows? If it occurs to me, I'll share it, but I just don't know. Okay, so we're gonna come on in here. And then the next encounter is going to be with some nameless enemies, because they don't have an entry in the bestiary, and some Athens wraiths. Having a little hard time jumping up here, but we'll eventually get up here. We're also coming back through here at the end of the video, and something happened that I just don't know what to really chalk it up to. There's one thing that might be related, but I'm not sure. We'll mention it at the end of the video, because it has to do with a known glitch. So we're gonna jump down here, and jumping down here is gonna spawn these Athens wraiths. I think there's 3, and normally I would just use Typhon's Bane to use arrows on these flying guys. If I knew their name, I would say what it is. So what you can do is jump in the air once, grab them, and then land, and then grab them again, and then throw them at the wraiths. It's a pretty good way to damage them, actually. But what I was saying is I would usually just shoot these guys, not the wraiths, but the flying ones, from up here where it's safe. But I'm gonna be upholding pain plus conditions as much as I possibly can on this run. And we've covered these guys pretty well. Just grab, and that will set them up for a launch, and then you can hit them in the air with square attacks, and then you can also throw them. And of course you can also launch them up with the triangle button, and then, as I call it, chain throwing them, which, if you don't know what that means, it's nothing official, it's just what I made up. Anything where you do a launch and then you press circle, that's what I refer to as chain throwing, because it's sort of that's what I call chain throwing. So one is down, and then we might have another. Yeah, there's the third one coming in. Here's the second one's death. And then I think I'm going to toy with this guy a little bit, maybe set him up for a launch, and I do realize that I have a room left that I have to do, so I also experimented a little bit with, yeah, Well, there's always time enough to get him. What I was trying to do was lure these Faith Sentries over to the Wraith as much as possible, and then grab them and try to throw them at the Wraith, but they can't get thrown at him. There's like an invisible wall in the next area. So yeah, these guys are pretty prolific enemies, aren't they? They're all over the place in this game. So over here, it doesn't look like there's much to get except a couple of oh, there's one red chest. Oh, that's too bad. You know, you try to grab one and it completely misses, and then they hit you, and you get punished by the whiff of missing. So now we're gonna make our way back here. And I really don't enjoy any part in here. It's just not enjoyable for me. Not that it's hard, in the least, but it's just kind of frustrating sometimes when you're not enjoying sections in this game. I've also given a little bit of thought to maybe putting an SSD in my PlayStation 3, just to see if it gives any improvements to the games that I'm playing. Because I know that some of the games that I do like to play, like Sigma and Sigma 2, have a lot of in-game loading. At least Sigma 2 does. Or excuse me, Sigma 1 has the in-game loading. Okay, so you're gonna have some more of these Fate Sentries. I think, like, jumping, you know where they start? I think they spawn in front of the chests and then they jump down. And then there's some sort of an AI bug where they kind of stay like exactly where they are and just kind of circle, and they don't come after you. So you can take advantage of that. And then we're going to be jumping on these those little platform areas, and then coming over here to deal with, I think for the first time, Hades Fiends, these females here. And you have full iframe immunity when you're doing that. And the reason I got hit right there was because my iframes were coming to an end there. But yes, you do have iframes. And okay, so to get this one down, you've got to stand in front of the pillar and then interact with it by pressing R1, and then shield jump down, and then you'll have more spawning. And then if you want to, you can just leave this fight. There's no reason to do it if you don't want to. But I'm going to chain throw her and see if I can get some collision damage on the other, and I believe I did. One of them has lost some limbs, so she's coming after me. And then this throw is one of my favorite in the game. I just love it. Okay, so if you're curious, they give you a checkpoint like right up here. So there's a green orb chest there, and then a red box here. And then coming up, there's going to be a blue box, a minor puzzle, and then some nonsense in the Blog of the Forgotten. A couple of more Hades Fiends in here too. Once you smash down the wall, which is really fortified well. Here they come. And as you can see, we have a corpse over here. She's coming after me, but so anyway, pick the corpse up, set it down, and then we're going to be coming to the opposite side of the room, shattering another door or wall, excuse me. And then by and by, you'll see the course coming full circle here, as it were. And then we're going to place the course on the pressure switch. I said we're going to place the course on the pressure switch and then stand on this switch, and it's a timed event, so just expeditiously roll this way, and every time you come up here you're going to see this for the first time. But if you reset the checkpoint or die, look at this guy jumping, look at him jump like that. That was pretty cool. And then when we eventually get up to where those guys were fighting, you'll see all their limbs severed and stuff. This is just obnoxious here. Now you have a lot of choices about what you can do when you grab one of these guys. You can throw them with the square button. You can just completely rend them apart with the triangle button. You can like do a repeated bunch of stabs with them and then feed them their own arms with the circle button. Or I'm not sure what the X button does. It does some sort of a pseudo launch at the end, but see how he didn't even come after me for a few seconds? You kind of have to have that happen, because otherwise they keep coming after you and it's relentless and it's really hard to get progress. And I threw him off, and that was rare because sometimes it doesn't happen like that. So what I do is I do this exclusively because it seems like it's a pretty fast way to get them out of... Oh, okay, so you do throw them off. But you see they keep jumping up here, so if you want to, you can use Kronos' Rage and minimize this frustration, I would say somewhat, not greatly or anything like that, but stunning enemies is really helpful to get them off your back. And, oh, of course, you can use the Rage too, and I think even though they would attack you, they wouldn't interrupt you. Yeah, that would be a really good way to deal with this, but we're trying to uphold pain plus conditions, so we're not using that. And I think this guy is... one of these guys is going to leave me alone, which is nice. But it's just frustrating. And do you see the way, like, when they hit you, it's as though Kratos does a different sort of animation, because when you just block, nothing happens. He gets pushed back very, very slightly, but if you guard at the like the time you would normally parry, he does a particular sort of that right there, where it deflects the enemy a little bit more, buys you a little bit more time. That is what I would call a more precise block. And we're just trying to make some fucking progress here. This is getting ridiculous. But see, this guy's leaving me alone. And there's nothing that really is going to explain that. I'm almost dead too, so I'm going to try to just jump over here and then get my checkpoint, get this box over here, and then we're going to be facing this Titan Minotaur who's either slumbering or like feigning sleep. I'm not sure, but we're going to wake him up presently. And there's about 4 encounters with these guys in the game. They're kind of a fun enemy. We're going to be pretty much doing the Super Plume exclusively. There is a way to like prevent him from throwing the rock, and I think it has to do with spacing, but what we're mainly going to do is just stay away from him and then time the Super Plume properly so that when he's finished with his pounding and circling there, we could land a Super Plume on him, and then that is a period of inactivity on his part where he has to catch his breath. It doesn't last very long, so make sure you take advantage of it. The hit box on these rocks is just stupid. Like, I'm gonna be doing a series after some of these God of Wars. Like after each one that I cover, I'm gonna be doing the challenges. Not for God of War 1 because I already have a playlist for that, but for this game I'm gonna be doing the challenges and doing the harder variants of the challenges, which is to get the bonus points, which means you have to do the challenge in a harder way. And one of the challenges, I would say probably the hardest challenge, is to defeat a whole bunch of enemies, including one of these guys, without taking any damage. And it's mainly getting hit by these guys that's the big problem, and trying to avoid rocks with hitboxes that don't make much sense. And anyway, so he looks like he's taunting a little bit. We're gonna back off, start the Super Plume, finish him off, hopefully pretty soon. How is it with a really weak weapon? Things do take a little bit longer, but it's not a tremendous amount longer. So I honestly don't mind it too much to have a weak weapon. It still has a very good utility to it. It's very very good to use. It has a lot of range. It has a lot of like, it's like a Swiss Army knife. It has so many functions. But you've got a few quick time events here to do. And then we're going to be just proceeding up here. Latch onto the tree. Snap it in half, and then we're going to come up here. And when we get onto this rope vine here, we're going to spawn some Fate's sentries. And I'm going to come back here because they do spawn one behind you, I think, but not if you're over here. So I'm going to stun them with a couple of triangle attacks. And then when they're stunned, I'm going to go in for a circle attack to quickly get them off. But it looks like for right now I'm just using triangle attacks. Okay, so they haven't spawned that guy behind me quite yet. It's coming anytime. I'm trying to do this no damage, guys, is why I'm being so careful. Okay, so he's off. And if we go to the left a little bit, we'll get out of his hit radius, and then we can just finish him off. And I think that's everybody except the last guy. Okay, so we're going to be coming back this way to do something that I thought would just... I took it for granted that it was going to work, but I encountered something that I don't think I've ever encountered over here. When we come back here, trying to collect an urn that is in it's behind one of the walls that we just opened to expose that that Fate's statue. And the big problem is that the three doors over here, none of them gave me the ability to open them. So at the end of the video, you're going to see that happen because we're going to be coming full circle, and I only came back for the urn that I think is in the middle door, and there's just no handles to even open the door. I don't understand it. Are they even on here now? I'm trying to see these fucking doors. It doesn't... I cannot understand it. I'm gonna have to look back at my other guide to see if they had handles here, because... Yeah. Yeah, we'll fight you guys some other day. No reason to do that fight. It's just... I don't know. I was looking to get the urns. Something was cut out of the footage coming up, and I do need to tell you guys. We're going to get a cutscene once we lift this thing up and toss it into the bog. And the game, I think, wants you to head to the left. But I edited out me going over to the save point. So just make sure that you save your progress. Okay, so the cutscene is like right here, like when he pushes it down, and then I have edited out me going to the save point just to speed up the video a little bit because it's a pretty long one. Okay guys, so I did go back and look at the footage from my guide, and apparently there's not doors over in that area. There's actually those devices in the walls that shoot the serpent magic, and you have to parry that. So and then those doors to get exposed. So I was completely just haven't played this game in a long time, and the last time I did the Pain Plus run, I didn't include that, and I didn't even go after the urn. So that is how to go get it. Just parry the stone magic that's coming out of the walls. So I apologize about that. I feel stupid, but everybody can't remember everything. Okay, so we're gonna go after the Golden Fleece. I believe this thing has it in his mouth the whole time, the Dark Cerberus that we're gonna encounter. So we're gonna be encountering a Gorgon over here, and we haven't faced one of these yet. This is a I think it's a Gorgon assassin. I'm almost positive, so I will check on that because the only other Gorgon is a Gorgon Queen, and I don't think they look like this. I think they're a little bit larger and have a different color to them. So these should be the Gorgon assassins. Anyway, so we're gonna need to pick this thing up. I did do the Dark Cerberus no damage. Last time I did my Pain Plus run, I think I did the same thing. He's a really simple boss. He just takes a lot to take down. And you're going to witness a glitch after this fight that I don't know how I instigated it, but it was present in my God of War 2 guide that I did in 2012, and I must have triggered something that set the glitch in motion. You're not going to see it until after the fight. So unfortunately you have to lift this gate up every time, which is annoying. And here it is. So they don't start you in a very good perspective because the boss is kind of right in front of the camera like this. So when the fight starts, just keep your guard up. And there is nothing that this boss does that you can't block. Everything is blockable. Like, there's not even one unblockable move. And every time I fight this thing, I'm reminded of the Piraeus Lion in, I think it was Chains of Olympus. No, I think it was Ghost of Sparta. It must have been in Ghost of Sparta. And there was, I think, a couple of moves that you couldn't block. And that was a damn hard boss compared to something like this. So what I do, this thing does a move where it looks like it's shitting. And I'll show you it in a minute. So every time I'll say that it's hunching down to shit, all you've got to do is do the super plume. So here it goes, it's shitting. Like, that's what I think in my mind every time, it's shitting. So when it's shitting like this, do the super plume. Angle yourself a little bit to the left or to the right of it. And if you're too close to a wall and you can't angle yourself, like, by which I mean, like, pretend like there's arcs on either side of this thing and try to stay within the arc, like in the line of an invisible arc on the side of it, so that you're out of the range of the projectiles that it fires out. And sometimes he'll trap you in a corner and spam the fire, but it looks like he stopped to shit over here. Have you ever seen that movie, Last Tango in Paris? There's this interchange between the woman who gets like raped by butter in that scene with Marlon Brando. Like, there's a scene with like her brother or something, and at some point, like, some kid says like, I'm shitting. Like, they're in like countryside, and the woman says, what are you doing? And the kid says, I'm shitting. And it was it's just so funny. So funny. So what does this guy do besides shit? It does the fire breath. It does a 2 claw attack. It does develop a stronger claw attack that kind of breaks the ground a little bit in phase 2. And I think we're almost in phase 2. Here he goes. Shitting again. This thing shits like all day. Okay, here's phase 2. I think it's going to put... See, I think he was chomping on one of the limbs that had the golden fleece on it. And I believe it's... I mean, if he swallowed it, there would... I don't know how Kratos would get it out, but once we get the circle button prompt, Kratos is going to rip it out of the guy's mouth. But anyway, it doesn't make too much sense. But does this make sense? Being able to block like a flamethrower type of fire breath? Certainly not, but this is a game and it doesn't matter, because all that matters is that you make a fair boss, and they've done it here. Although it's too easy of a boss, but it doesn't mean it's not fair. So yeah, every time it starts to shit like that, just go on that arc and do the super plume. And then just be really careful here to avoid damage. And of course, if you're doing this, I mean, you can use magic. I'm just doing this with Pain Plus in mind, guys. You can use the rage, you can use the magic, you can use Kronos' rage, you can use the arrows, you can use the hammer if you want to. Do whatever you want. I mean, I'm just I'm just trying to. I mean, there's just no need to do it right now. When I need to use magic, like on the translator section, then I'll use magic. But for anything that I don't need to do it on, I just don't see a need to do it. I like to do things just with the blades because they're perfectly fine to use. And I think that's good because the magic is there for people who want to use it, and it's there for when you need to use it or just when you want to use it. It's no big deal. So what's going to happen after the fight is that he's going to hang around and you'll see it. And if you watched my God of War 2 guide, you saw it. And the video is actually called Dark Cerberus Glitch. Something along those lines. This guy is not in the bestiary. But on this phase, he's developed that one-hit ground-breaking move. Which, when I saw it, I think that should be the unblockable that he does. But, they just chose to have everything be blockable. Okay, so he's shitting. And because I was too close to a wall, remember what I said about the walls? If you're too close to the wall, you don't have enough room to go on that invisible arc. So just try not to commit to that super plume at that point. But it wouldn't have mattered. If he hit us, it's no big deal. I'm just trying to not take damage because it's just a personal goal that I have for myself. And I believe on the Perseus boss fight, I am going to be using the hammer because that guy, I just don't like that fight whatsoever. And see, what happened as well with this glitch, there's some enemies after this that didn't spawn because I think that the glitch prevented them from spawning. Now, they spawned the first time, but the glitch hadn't occurred because I hadn't died yet. And when I unlocked Titan, I didn't get the glitch. And when I was doing my Pain Plus run, I didn't get it. So I must have done something. And you might say to yourself, well, it may have been because you went back and saved it, and that's not true because on the other two runs that I just mentioned, I went and saved it too. I always save it before coming into this cave because I just don't trust my system to not have an issue of freezing and things like that. But I've given a little bit of thought to picking up Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2 and maybe doing a no upgrade run for you guys. And that's one of the reasons why I thought I might want to try to just at least try to put an SSD in my PlayStation 3. It's very simple of a process. I looked it up on YouTube. It's really simple. My only issue is it going to give me the benefits for the cost? Because there's a $250 model of a Samsung, the really good ones, the SSDs, and the 250 gigabyte model is well more space than I need, and that one's only $95. So, that's a pretty good value because I'll probably never even use more than 50 gigabytes. So 250 is just well more than I need. I mean, I have a 500 gigabyte model now, and if I was installing a bunch of games, I don't play that many games. I only play a certain few games. Like, if they made games these days, they're not making games. I mean, yeah, they made Queers 4, and that was good because that was a game. But how often does something like that happen? Once every couple of years, I would warrant. So yeah, I mean, look how much of a pounding this guy takes. And I'm trying to be. You'll notice that in my gameplay that I'm being extremely careful now because the fight is getting to the point where he's almost ready to get that circle button prompt. So I don't want to screw up my no damage run. One, two. Oh, excuse me. And I honestly don't think the SSD is going to do too much, but if it minimized the loading times on Sigma 2, that would be really good. I would buy it if it did that, because I haven't played Sigma 2 in probably 3 years. At least. Ever since I got Ninja Gaiden 2, ever since I got addicted to that game. I think it was in 2013. Yeah, I've never played Sigma 2 after that. But it's so nice to have games running at 60, and I'm not sure. I'm almost positive Sigma 2 is in 720, but I know Ninja Gaiden Sigma is in 1080 60. But that also has a lot of in-game loading. That's frustrating. So, is there a possibility that the SSD could minimize that? You never know. But anyway, we're gonna grab this out of his throat, and then so what happened over here was that I did die to something over here. I think it was to the Gorgon. But see, check this out. He's still here. He's still here. I mean, you can't interact with him. He's pretty much a ghost. But I think it's because of his presence that the Gorgons that are out here, there's about 3 that you have to fight, and they're a bitch to take down on Pain Plus because you can't deflect the Gorgon stare. They're really hard on Pain Plus. Like, doing that fight on Pain Plus took me much longer than the Dark Cerberus fight, but they're not even here, so how am I supposed to fight something that's not even there? You can't, so... And he caused it, too. So anyway, if you listen closely, you can hear the battle music from the boss fight that we just did. Because he comes with the battle music, so we get the battle music, but it's not going to persist. It'll go away eventually. But yeah, that's been Installment the 4th, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and take care. I will see you in Installment the 5th.